allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Justice for all. Okay, well, thank you all for being here on this lovely night. It's the best night we've had in eons. So thank you for coming indoors. Appreciate that. The next item is consider additions and changes to the agenda.
Yeah, so I'd like to strike item G
From the consent.
from the consent agenda.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Discussion.
Oh, discussion, pardon me.
So my one concern is just that it has the appearance that we're approving by name individuals for something that's already occurred. And I would like to look a little further into this. It looks like we already approved these positions, but I would like to kind of see what happened. Also, if it's something that has to do with us not having enough meetings, so that we had positions that ended up being filled, we couldn't approve their names until after it occurred. I would like to use this as a case to build that we move back to 2 meetings a month, at least during the school year. But for now, I'd like to strike that so we can look into kind of what happened here and why we have a by name that's got individuals still in positions, and we're approving it after, potentially sports seasons are over.
And, we can always have a special meeting to put a special meeting to. Okay, anything else? Any special? And then all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Vote. Motion carries. Okay, we'll go on to the consent agenda as changed. We entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda with the change. Eliminate item G. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We'll move on to presentation reports. Krista, how did you go?
She's getting the agenda.
She's getting the agenda.
So they're both for reports, so maybe what we can do with that.
Okay, we're gonna kind of change the order because she's, getting the agendas for us. So, right now it's hearing individuals and groups. Have anybody signed up?
Yep, I'll grab that. Thank you, Matt.
Okay, the first person on the list is,
I can do this time.
Thank you. All right, yes, and because of the, there's quite a few people that want to speak tonight, we're gonna hold it to 3 minutes per person. Okay. All right, 3 minutes per person. All right, we'll start with Katie Skelton.
Where should I?
Yes, come on up here.
It'd be nice if you were in the camera so that
Yeah.
people that are virtual could see you. So yeah.
Exciting. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my back's to everyone here too.
Sorry, you have your back to the audience.
Well, thank you all for your time tonight and your continued service to our school district. Obviously, this is not an easy job, but collectively and those online have decades of service. So thank you for that. My name's Katie Skelton. I'm a proud Eatonville graduate a few years ago. I moved back to Eatonville about 6 years ago to raise my kids here, close to family, and it's a place I've always called home, although I haven't always been here. I have 2 children that attend Eatonville Middle School. They're active in sports, leadership, and community events. Children in Eatonville School District deserve an accurate, honest, and quality education. Students from all walks of life deserve safety and the ability to express themselves and support their peers without repercussions from other students, staff, or community members. I watched the recording of the April school board meeting and was so moved to hear, I'm gonna start crying, James, even when I say your name. But I heard James bravely speak along with his mother. If I'm not talking, has it come out of my time? Okay. And others supportive community members in defense of the GSA Club at UMS. I was actually in the car driving when I was listening to this, so I was crying and driving. It was probably very dangerous, but I made it. I also wanted to thank Jeff Lucas for acknowledging James and his brave message. I also heard community members make sweeping statements about what people in our town think and support as it pertains to education surrounding sexual education, gender identity, student participation in the GSA group, or even being an ally. Just today, actually, there was an act of hate at the middle school, and I can show you all photos and email it later, against our students. That's happening right now, today. I'm here tonight to let you know that I wholeheartedly do not agree with those statements. Critical of vital programs that educate and support our students. And there are so many people in this great town that stand with me. I'll cry again, but, and to James and every other LGBTQ+ student in Eatonville. There's more than one. We see you, we support you, and we are proud of you. I want to take the time to state the Eatonville School District's vision statement. As a reminder, our vision for, I can't even read my writing because I'm crying, it's becoming duplicates here. For all students to graduate with the knowledge and skills to succeed in our community and the global society, not just here in Eatonville. That part I added. We must inspire, allow innovation, create safe and strong academic opportunities to allow all students to realize success and thrive in the 21st century workplace. So tonight I'm requesting that the Eatonville School District and Superintendent Neal distribute a public message during Pride Month, which is in June, that reflects its own vision and values to show LGBTQ+ Eatonville students that they are an important part of our community. Thank you.
All right, our next one is Ruby Skelton.
Hi, my name is Ruby Skelton. I'm the ASB president at the middle school. I'm 14 years old and in 8th grade. I take pride in helping create a school atmosphere that is inclusive where friendships can grow. I went to school board meeting last month, and there was a lot of talk about the GSA group at the middle school. As I was watching it, I noticed how proud I felt when all these amazing community members came together and stood in support of the GSA. They spoke about their feelings, values, and thoughts, which made me proud to be a part of the Eatonville community. I go to GSA almost every Wednesday during my lunch as a straight ally, and I get to hear other people talk about their struggles, and so that I may have the opportunity to understand, so I can try and make our school and community a better place. But the sad thing is, many people say that we shouldn't teach about any of this. But if not now, when? Every person needs to learn about the LGBTQ+ community, sexual identity, and gender identity, and it will be a part of our future. And the Eatonville district is supposed to prepare all students for their future in the best possible way. If we aren't teaching kids and doing all we can to prepare them for the real world, then we will graduate and leave this community not understanding some very basic realities. The fact that such an amazing opportunity, a community like Eatonville, a place where people come together to stand up for one another all the time, won't stand up for something like this is really sad. Saying that the GSA club is inappropriate is silencing students from being themselves. Many say, if you're gay, just don't be gay, but it's not that simple. If you're straight, you can't just not be straight. That's not your choice. It's who you are and you can't change that. I envision a community and school that is welcoming, safe, and inclusive. Imagine a place where anyone and everyone can be who they are without being bullied or harassed. I envision a beautiful, wholesome community where everyone is accepted and appreciated. All students should have the opportunity to learn about these things so that they can treat with people with dignity and respect, and a spirit of learning and educating yourself. I'm asking you tonight to take the time to reach out to these students and get to know them a little better and let them know that you support them as students of the Eatonville School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, on to Sarah Cole.
Thank you guys for accommodating us in this space. It's so much better than a cramped boardroom. I mean, it's stifling over there. My name is Sarah Cole. Like Paulette mentioned, I graduated in 1992 from Eatonville High School, and my husband Brad and I raised all three of our kids here. Two of them are here tonight, Petra and Bennett. And I'm here to speak tonight on the values that we as parents and community members share and that are echoed in school board policy and district values. Principles such as curiosity and character, and principles we want to see in our children like compassion and respect for others that are a natural extension of our district's values. I was deeply concerned by comments made at the last month's board meeting regarding the GSA Club at EMS that seemed to threaten these shared values. Most of you know our middle son, Gavin. He's a sophomore at Western, and he graduated from EHS in 2020. He was school board student rep, and that was his junior year, and then junior and senior year, he was ASB president. He's also been gay since the day he was born. But we didn't know that until he came out when he was 15. Gavin didn't have the benefit of GSA Club in middle school, and I'm wondering if his middle school experience would have been different had he known that he had a supportive community at school and not just at home. And Gavin had so much support at home. Do you know what my then 81-year-old dad said when Gavin made that announcement? He said, "What a blessing. What a blessing for our family." My dad was not born that enlightened. It took decades of work probably to get there. He had 14 siblings. He served 7 years in the Navy, and his 7 years as a Trappist monk probably fast-tracked him a bit to that enlightenment. But what a blessing that because of Gavin's courage and authenticity, our entire family and all of our friends get to experience life through a completely different lens. And what a blessing for Gavin that he was born into a large family who loves him unconditionally and just as he was created. I know that this is not the reality for many of the students who attend Eatonville schools, and I'm not just talking about those in the LGBTQ+ community. There is no shortage of hurdles that our students face every single day that limit their ability to develop their optimal potential as our district values state. Why would we take issue with activities or concepts that help students feel understood and appreciated? Do you know what happens when kids actually feel seen? Self-esteem, academic performance, and civic engagement all go up. Do you know what goes down? Emotional distress, bullying behavior. All of those things are impacted. Poor conduct, all of those things increase. Like vandalism. Vandalism is a perfect example of the kinds of things that happen when we don't serve our children. So I'm asking our district to be courageous. Be proactive. A student and community service, a survey is a great way to gain insight. Be vocal. Communicate honestly and often on important issues. I don't know that the district has acknowledged or shown solidarity with the community of Uvalde in Texas from atrocities that happened yesterday, but lack of communication creates confusion and missed opportunities to engage with the students in the community. And then lastly, be creative. Provide more opportunities for kids who need support or are otherwise not engaged. Because mission statements, visions, and values do nothing if they aren't actualized in effective, concrete, and in a variety of ways. If we want to instill bravery and grit in our kids, we adults will have to find the courage to model it first. Thank you.
So if you hear that little sing song, that's the timer, just so you know. It's your wrap up time.
All right, thank you, school board, for your time and your service. My name is Jake Poole. I'm a graduate of Eatonville School District, and I have 2 children in this school district also. The amount of people present this evening tells me there's a lot of people in this community that care. When our community chooses to be brave by gathering and working together, our community and our children benefit. I am here today because I'm hearing reoccurring concerns from parents and community members over the past several months. I am too concerned about the symptoms of our kids are displaying, such as bullying, drug use, suicide, fighting, arson. I'm curious if the root cause is mental health. These symptoms are a cry for help, and it's a duty for the school and the community to address those causes. Some of the public comments made during last month's board meeting were jolting. Bigotry, silencing of fellow humans in our community was painful to hear. We also heard some inspiring words from adults and one brave student that were willing to share their personal experiences and the real impacts that these harmful views, statements, and actions have on the students. Surprisingly, I'm here to tell you that we have a lot that we can learn actually from nature. See, I'm a plants person. I'm a naturalist. I'm a supervisor of the forest. I know what a healthy forest system looks like and how they function. Just like our school, symptoms are the forest's way of telling us that there's a root cause to the problem. So I'm going to take you for a walk in the forest. In the forest, the trees, the shrubs, the flora, they're all connected, quite literally by the mycelium network of the mushrooms. When one plant is under attack, or an insect, or by disease, or needs nutrients, additional nutrients, the mycelium helps transfer the necessary resources, bringing balance to the whole system. Our school and staff act in the same way. We're here to move resources to the students that are in need. This movement of resources in the form of specialist programs, counseling, support, academic intervention, service, academic intervention services allow all students to accomplish the ESD vision. The ESD vision states all students to graduate with knowledge and skills to succeed in our community and the global society, and to thrive in the 21st century workplace. Interestingly, plants move their resources through mycelium not only to the same species, but also to different species throughout the system. Why? Well, because nature has figured out that a diverse forest with plants with different abilities, strengths, and weaknesses and roles within the forest will thrive and succeed together, not separated. Removal of variety weakens individuals and the whole system of the mycelium, while adding more variety that is working together creates a forest that's resilient. That.
Just gonna keep us to
Okay.
wrap up.
The district mission is together, we commit to inspire lifelong learners and create a better future. We need to support a variety of resilience through education. We have heard the parents and community members ask the school board to survey the community for feedback, as well as increased communication throughout the district. I'm here to ask the board to survey the Eatonville School District administrators and educators. What are their needs? What are the children's needs to succeed? The educators are the ones walking through the forest with our children every day. They have seen the symptoms and likely have great insight into the systemic root causes. Let's find a way to support our teachers in this difficult journey. The curriculum is built and waiting for our forest mycelium to spread out the resources where it's needed most. Be the mycelium of the system. Get those resources to where they need to bring balance. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Julie Over or
Thank you. Yes, I'm Julie Hover, and I have 2 children in the schools in the Eatonville School District. And I'm here to add my voice to others in our community who wish to advocate for a safe, supportive, welcoming, and inclusive school environment, achieved by providing, for example, safe spaces and inclusive curricula. I realize that we as parents and as community members invested in the future of our students and our schools, I realize that we all likely agree on that. But we may interpret safe, supportive, welcoming, and inclusive in different ways. For me, it means all students should be supported for who they are, not hidden, not shushed, not shamed, not swept under the rug. Does this mean our students must always be comfortable with the beliefs and values of those around them? Of course not. As our children develop into adults, they should be able to tolerate some discomfort as they are exposed to diverse ideas, viewpoints, and opinions. They should be exposed to the discomforting truths of our nation's history, as well as the glories, and understand how current events are tied to the past. Perhaps their opinions will be changed by what they hear, their perspectives broadened. Perhaps they'll courageously stand up for themselves or others in expressing their opinions. Perhaps they will even disagree with us, their parents, and will challenge our values. Even here in Eatonville, we can't isolate our children from the world. The world leaks in. Our children are strong and brave and fearful and distressed. They want to fit in, but they also want to stand out. Our adolescents struggle with some of the same issues we did as they figure out who they are and begin to spread their wings. But they are also navigating a world that did not exist when we were kids. I have 2 kids in school here, one finishing up 1st grade, the other in middle school. My kids are Black. Throughout their school years, they have usually been the only Black kid in their class. They have always had caring and excellent teachers, and for the most part, kind classmates. I appreciate our teachers, and I want them to be supported and safe as well. I want them to be able to discuss uncomfortable topics without facing reprisal. I want them to have the space to discuss racism, sexism, genderism, ableism, and current events in age-appropriate ways when it comes up in their classrooms. And it does come up, even in elementary school. One year during Black History Month, back when my daughter was small, her class learned about the enslavement of Black people in our nation's history. Apparently, this was a new topic for some children in our class. I understand that most of us who are white don't necessarily talk about slavery around the dinner table when our children are small. The kids in her class all turned to her and said, "That was so wrong. We would never have done it to you." It was sweet, but awkward. I guess my point here is that while we as parents are our children's first teachers, we are limited by our experience. If we are white and cisgender, 2-parent families, it may not even occur to us to talk about Black history and culture, or that of the native peoples whose traditional lands we live on, who are still here, or families with 2 moms or dads or just one, and the list goes on. It's a lot to expect our schools and teachers to be able to fill in all the gaps. But I do believe supporting teachers in cultural competencies, choosing inclusive curricula, and providing safe spaces are steps in the right direction. And I appreciate the efforts of our board, the efforts they have already made in this direction. For the sake of our children, please continue to do so. Thank you.
You don't have any trouble with the deadline on me. Thanks for listening. We all want children to leave high school with knowledge and skills to enable them to thrive as productive, law-abiding citizens of the wider world. In fact, several years ago, Eatonville schools made a commitment to that goal in the district's statement of mission, values, and goals, now posted on the district website. I'd like to highlight a few aspects of that pledge. It says, "We," meaning the school district, "believe all children of different cultures and backgrounds must have the same opportunities and community support. That we," meaning the school district, "must create safe academic opportunities. That the character trait respect is integral to student learning, and that children need each of us as their advocate. As you know, not all children are the same race or ethnicity. Not all share the same religion. Not all identify as straight, and many are differently able. Unfortunately, some people in our community are unwilling to acknowledge and respect those differences. Regardless, As leaders of our school district, it's your responsibility to ensure that all children in school are valued, nurtured, and protected from harm. I strongly believe that the majority of Eatonville taxpayers and voters agree with me. Some of you may recall a 1990 book called All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. That's when teachers traditionally teach kids how to get along. But frankly, in the 21st century, lessons in civility cannot end there. Now more than ever, it is crucial that our school system foster virtues of basic decency and goodwill among students. During the past couple of board meetings, we've heard a fair amount about the problem of student bullying and harassment in our schools. I and others would like to know how the board plans to work with the superintendent and administrators to combat this dangerous trend. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Michelle Cornwell. Hi, I'm Michelle Cornwell. I've lived here for over 18 years. I wanted to stand up and speak tonight for what should be, according to the mission statement, and what should be, and according to the mission statement, is the majority, providing a public education to all students. I have two neurodiverse kids in this district. They are both dyslexic, as are my husband and I, and 1 in 5 students in every classroom the planet over. This does not mean they cannot learn how to read, just that they need specific reading instruction. Instruction this district did not provide. They went to years of year-round tutoring outside of school at considerable cost to our family. That takes a toll on relationships, and it hits your self-confidence. I will spare you the increased rates of ADHD, substance abuse, depression, incarceration, and suicide among dyslexics, but I have them. My kids are in 9th and 11th grades now. There has been some progress over years in this school system, progress largely due to grassroots efforts by parents like myself. For example, when my oldest was in 5th grade, the president made it legal to use the word dyslexia instead of referring to it as specific reading, writing, or spelling disability. And this school year is the first year Washington finally has a dyslexia screening law in place for kindergarten through 2nd grades. Yeah. I wanted to speak up tonight, not just for my kids, but for all the struggling readers I've listened to out in the halls over the years while volunteering in my kids' classroom. And not only for the neurodiverse kids, but the LGBTQ students, all students. At last month's meeting, I heard one of the directors commend speakers for standing up and speaking their truth, even when their personal opinions and philosophies are in contrast to the public. Being gay is not an opinion, a philosophy, or an ideology. It is who these students are. It's the whole student who deserves a free and appropriate education from this district. I want every student to be able to contribute to their full and unique potential. That diversity is what makes for strong and healthy systems, schools, and ecosystems alike. Diversity should be celebrated. James was a powerful speaker last month's meeting. Mrs. McLennan is an amazing leader and educator. Mrs. Ryrick was right. The GSA kids need adults to stand behind them. And I want this board to know I stand behind them. I would like to see this board come out with a statement in support of the LGBT community in our district and provide a structured reading curriculum based on the science of reading. That's what I wanted to say. Don't judge how others process, just support. Thank you. All right, Kristen, you can
Good evening. I'm here actually representing somebody who unfortunately couldn't get tonight, and I'm gonna read really fast. And I'm just speaking from her perspective, right? So, good evening. I'd like to first thank the board for your service. I know that you have not always received the appreciation you deserve, and well, let's face it, the pay isn't very good either. My name is Kelly Bacher. My family has lived in this community for over 70 years. I have deep roots here. Both of my grandpas were real cruisers who worked in the logging industry, and one of them served several years on the school board. After living in many other places, my husband and I chose to raise my children here. I currently work as a school counselor on the joint base Lewis and Ford, but I've also worked in the Eatonville School District while my sons were in high school. I'm sure they loved that mom knew everything what was going on at school. I've noticed a disturbing trend in the public comments in several recent board meetings. Often the comments come from one perspective, and those speakers sometimes will say that they represent most of our community. If Eatonville is still the community I think it is, I do not believe this to be true. Strong opinions have been expressed about what should and shouldn't be taught and what kind of student clubs should be allowed in the Eatonville public schools. These individuals want to deny the rights of others to express who they are and access to complete public education. My sons are entering a complex world that I couldn't have imagined when I graduated EHS in 1981. I can tell you that David has now earned a bachelor's degree in engineering and a master's degree in astronautical engineering and will begin his PhD program at the University of Southern California in August. He likes to remind us that yes, sometimes it does take a rocket scientist. Some of you who have been part of the board for a while might remember Daniel, who is a student representative on the board. He is finishing his junior year at Oregon State. He'll spend the summer doing a 10-week internship at Cornell University, working on a lab that is exploring ways to make plants more resistant to the effects of climate change. He also plans to pursue his PhD after he gets a degree, and I have no doubt that he will. I believe that without the excellent education they received within the Eatonville public schools, my boys would not be where they are. I know that is true for many of our graduates, no matter what they are doing after high school. As proud as I am of their academic accomplishments, I'm most proud that they understand everyone deserves dignity, no matter what. That does not mean they agree with everyone's values or choices, just that everyone deserves kindness. As a parent, I will forever be grateful to the teachers and all the other student staff that have taught them the academic and other life skills they needed to thrive when they left this community. I agree that parents are critical stakeholders of their child's education, but if you choose to be in a public education system where federal and state laws govern much of what is taught, these laws were made through the democratic process based on the input of many people, including professional educators, and are there to protect the rights of students to receive a complete education, not to deny them. I fear that some parents in our community are actively encouraging the board to make decisions to create unsafe and incomplete learning environments for our students. Our kids need to be able to analyze information, work with others to solve complex problems, and have empathy for our citizens who are vulnerable and marginalized. We owe it to our kids to have the opportunity to learn what they need to know, be successful in life, no matter who they are or what path they choose. Many years of study tells us if students don't feel safe or valued for who they are, they will not learn. It is the responsibility of not only the board and the staff of the Eatonville School District, but every single member of the community to make sure that the decisions made protect the well-being of all students and continue to uphold our mission, our vision, our values of Eatonville School District. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kelly. Casey Madison?
Matt. Hello. My name is Casey Madison, and I've been
Madison?
Madison.
Madison. Okay.
Been a resident in the Eatonville area resident since 19. I want to thank each of the board members for serving the community. In particular, I want to thank those of you who've reminded parents that the school board is a nonpartisan and that its focus is to serve and respect all families and students. All students deserve a safe place to learn, grow, and realize their full potential regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, social class, or religious or non-religious affiliation. Okay, why am I here today? The last of my 5 children raised right here in Eatonville graduated in 2017, and they got a great education, and I thank you for that. Like many parents whose children have graduated, my attention naturally turned away from our schools until last week. My heart sank after watching last month's school board meeting when I listened to public comment that declared our LGBTQ+ students can do whatever they want at home, but you should not bring who they are to middle school. When community members say these things while claiming to represent the majority of parents, I feel it's important for the board to know that these views are not the majority of voices in our community, a community that is known as a small town with a big heart. Homophobic views are not the majority, not in our community, not in our country. I watched James, an Eatonville Elementary School student, share his pain of being harassed and bullied at school because of his sexual orientation. I was moved to tears as James' mother shared her experiences, fears, and challenges. This is our community. We must not allow bigotry to have a place in our public schools. Intolerance and discrimination cannot be condoned through silence. Not by the school community, not by the school board, and not by the community at large. So I know James is here tonight. This is for you. James, your story is personal to me and my family. I know firsthand the pain and the suffering you endure in Eatonville schools. I want you and your mother to know that there are so many of us behind you. We understand you. You are not alone. We believe in you for the human being you are. You're not less because you are gay. You deserve a safe place to learn, grow, and be a kid. And it is this board's responsibility to ensure that you have that safe place to do it. Being gay is not a political perspective. Gay students are not voicing contrarian rhetoric for personal gain or notoriety. Being gay is who you are. It is the way you were made. It is a human right, not a political perspective. Your sexual orientation is not a threat. You are not a threat. Extremism is, bigotry is, intolerance is, bullying is. We will stand behind you and every marginalized student in Eatonville to demand that all students have a safe and nurturing environment. Thank you.
Elizabeth Skelton.
Thank you all for having me here. I appreciate it. I'm speaking today because I would like to address the conversation that took place at last month's board meeting. A lot of people have. I'm bringing it up because I feel a key point was missed due to there being an emphasis on an idea that there was a group of irate parents set out to bully this board or even students to eliminate the GSA club. I'd like to point out that wasn't the case then, and it is most certainly not my intention now. The point I feel was missed, and what I believe is the most concerning, was the lack of transparency provided by the school to inform us of the resources being provided to our children regarding sexual orientation and gender identity. Knowing how diverse the opinions of this topic in this community are, the school still chose to leave parents out of the equation. Parents should be encouraged and supported to educate their children in regards to sexual matters that align with their values and faith. That right was taken when the school neglected to provide any communication to us regarding the establishment of the GSA club and the sexual orientation flag display. Nobody wants to take away a child's place of safety, and no child should ever feel unsafe at school. However, when a school neglects to be transparent with parents with these topics, when these topics are being discussed and supported, they limit or possibly eliminate the opportunity for conversations to be had within the place the child should feel the most safe, their home. Nobody gets to assume a parent's reaction to these conversations, and nobody gets to assume parents don't want to have these conversations with their children. We unfortunately live in a world that disgustingly over-sexualizes our children,
which is why it is so disheartening the school chose to exclude parents from these decisions that contribute to that kind of social norm. After speaking to other parents, it is clear that there's a sense of distrust that appears to be developing within the school due to situations like this and policies implemented due to COVID. So how do we come back from that? How do we heal? We could start by keeping parents informed, whether it be a controversial issue or standard information. Nothing should be kept from parents of children. Of the children, these schools have the privilege to educate. I doubt I'd be so inclined to speak today had I learned of everything I've mentioned from the administration approving these decisions and not my 12-year-old child. So inform us because we want to know, we should know, but most importantly, we have the right to know. Thank you.
Hi there. I'm gonna talk about kind of everything that everybody talked about, but start with the fact that reoccurring, heard that a lot. There is reoccurring issues here. The bullying is out of control and it doesn't have anything to do with a specific group of people. My son is straight and a very good athlete. He's also a good student. He works hard and he gets bullied. There's lots of kids that are getting bullied and the problem is out of control. So it is not specific to a specific group. There's only 1,850 kids in this entire district, and we really need to get it under control. So what I suggested was a dad's group to get some on the floor representation, extra set of eyes. And I believe Jeff said that we could sit and kind of draft up something for that. So I'm going to be doing that, but I just wanted to point that out. Last month and now, I did not hear any bigotry or hate. I heard opposition and questions because of lack of transparency. There's a large population out here with obvious disparities, including social class, income, educational levels, etc. We have lots of stay-at-home moms and lots of kids in family settings that, you know, with grandparents and aunts and uncles. So there's a lot of people that care and a lot of opposition just in the area and diversity in our area. Opposition is life and it's healthy with respect. So how are we going to combat this? How are we going to work together? What ideas do we have and how do we start solving and making forward progress? How do we be more proactive instead of reactive about an issue that's completely out of control? Surveys, in my opinion, surveys should not be limited to only parents or even admin for that matter, but they can be sent to students as well. Those are direct feedback gathering points for metrics that can be measured. I feel like they should be shared with our community, just like I suggested about the bullying app. About every week they send out, kind of like they did with the COVID cases, but every week there's like a pie chart, something simple and a visual illustration that's sent out that says like, hey, this is what's going on in our community. Those are talking points for our kids, for our families, for continuity. And they are important and transparency is key. And I think you basically heard that from every single person up here. So I wanted to play into whoever brought up dyslexia program. My oldest son has dyslexia and struggled his entire school year. Everything only started clicking this year. And as a parent, it was one of the most heartbreaking and nerve-wracking things to watch your child go through when you're doing everything you can, but they all learn at their own pace. And there isn't a lot of great programs and support and interventions for dyslexia, as I believe it was you mentioned. It just got recognized as a actual learning disability a couple of years ago, I believe. Like it doesn't need a diagnosis. And I suggested to Travis Rush formally in writing on 5/17 to have the board presented Wilson reading system as an equity issue. And I'd like to see it considered, because in my opinion, every single child could use a dyslexia curriculum, not just a child diagnosed with dyslexia. So thank you.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to each one of you for your very well thought out and presentations. And thank you for sharing your concerns and for showing appreciation for us too. We appreciate that a lot. Sometimes we don't feel very appreciated, you know, but we want to do our best to help feed this district. And, we have things that we will be working on. So thank you all very much. Appreciate every bit. Now we will go on to backwards, yeah. All right.
For presentation.
Reports.
I feel like what I have to say isn't nearly as meaningful as what we've heard tonight. I feel like I'm gonna be a major letdown to everybody. But, so our enrollment is rebounding kind of how we anticipated. One thing that I noticed that's a little different this year is we do have quite a few more bilingual kids in our schools, which is pretty neat. So, financially, we're just right on track to end with where we started. Although we are feeling some effects of some staffing absences recently. Certainly, some of that has to do with COVID, but so we are seeing higher salaries and benefits because of the costs that are associated with that. But other than that, everything is pretty much within the norm. So we're working on budgeting, and we'll be ready to present that at one of the next board meetings. And that's all I have.
Thank you. There's no unfinished business.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I'm looking for running start on your, oh, got it, 17. 37 total.
Yeah.
17 running starts, 27 at the skill center.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay, so we're significantly lower in our running starts than we've been several years.
A little bit. It seems, yeah, a little bit less. So, yeah.
Which is, it's curious. Make sure we are supporting those kids. Well, but super excited about the skill center numbers at 27. That's fantastic. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't see it on there.
All right. Okay. Anything else? Okay, we'll move on to new business. A is consider approval of overnight stay for athletic events. It's been seconded. Discussion?
Yeah.
I'll say, again, I'm just gonna clarify, because it says for 21-22 school year athletic events. I'm just gonna clarify that we're not approving things that happened in 2021.
Correct.
Okay.
It's right here.
Yeah, it looks like on our agenda here that these are starting tonight and for May. But the fact that we're approving something the day of a departure is more proof for why I think we need to move to 2 meetings a month. So,
I agree with that statement, but I'm also super pumped that we
Yeah,
have all of these
absolutely.
kids heading to state. I think it's fantastic. So for those of you, I don't know if you have it in your minutes, but we have tennis, fast pitch, and track heading on to state level, and that is phenomenal. I'm just so great. Considering all things considered,
And they have to be good academically to participate. So we're very proud of each one of them. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item B, consider approval of WIAA membership renewal.
Second.
Discussion? This is an annual thing we do every year. Nothing has changed. All those groups signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider a vote to continue or abandon current strategic plan and reporting.
So I'm gonna say so moved. So we have a conversation.
Yeah,
because we have to have a motion or have a
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, and I'll second, so we can talk.
All right.
Okay.
And I was surprised to see this on the agenda, but it was part of our conversation that we had on our agenda planning meeting, and it is that we have a board approved strategic plan that we put into motion that has, and I think it's attached here. It has very specific calendaring, reporting dates,
from every aspect of our district. It helps us with our budgeting, our staffing, our district goals. We've heard so much about our district goals and our vision and our mission. All of that I think is fantastic and good work. And I was recently brought to my attention by WASDA, our state agency, that if we are not in compliance of our strategic plan, we are out of compliance with the board. And so I would like, the way this was brought up on here was a surprise to me, but I'm grateful that we can pass the motion to really refocus or commit as a board to refocus on the strategic plan. And if we feel like it needs improvement, then we need to improve it. But we certainly need to move forward on really looking at, I think what was good work brought forward, not just by key stakeholders in the community. This just wasn't a board effort. This was a community effort. And I think it worked then and it could work now. And if it needs to be amended, then we can do that work too, but we need to recommit. And that is again, why I think we need more than one meeting a month, because we're not in our strategic plan with integrity if we're not getting the reports that we need, and our public and our community are not able to and some of the challenges that we're trying to overcome in our community or our school. So that's why that was, I'm surprised it was on there, but I'm grateful for the opportunity to have that discussion and open to hearing other people's opinions.
I think you did very well. I agree with everything you said.
So I guess my motion is to continue with our current strategic. Actually, do you have anything to say?
No, I actually like this one. I like this.
Okay, Jeff's here. Jeff, you want anything to
Thanks.
say?
Yeah, I agree. And I've been thinking about that. I think we've all been thinking about it for a while. The strategic plan is certainly at a time it needs to be renewed. Yeah, that's going to be a big process. And it's going to take a long time. And I think we need to make the plans to get that started.
So then the motion is to continue.
To continue with our existing strategic plan. That's my motion.
Second. All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Consider approval of ultrasound machine purchase for CTE biomed program.
Do we have anybody here to speak on this one?
Yeah, no,
Yes,
please,
Whatever.
please come up so that people that are watching virtually can.
We can hear you. Yeah.
Well, I'm here because Dr. Hancock and Kelly Powell, who's our CT director, were not available tonight. So as you guys, I think know, we started 2 years ago, actually pre-COVID, and we've continued to expand our biomedical, medical careers pathway in CTE. Dr. Hancock she's got professional background that allows her to kind of teach that CTE plus her science background. So we have the human body system. We have the biomedical is the first course, and then we have the human body systems, and we have kids that will go through that and then move on to skill center, or sometimes they, will take that on into college, university. So with this ultrasound machine, so the ultrasound machine it's a small one. It's not a big thing that you would maybe have at a doctor's office, but it does allow for imaging of small animals, or pretty much small animals. I don't know if there's small humans, we don't have access to that. But
we want access.
We do. Right. But we have, the great thing about this particular one is that it does allow for recording or imaging. So if there was an opportunity for animals to be present with the kids, great. They could do the imaging there, read the imaging, or that can be done outside, and then the kids can just look at the imaging. Working with Dr. Best to try to help students kind of have that check if they're doing a great job analyzing it or not. Or sometimes they were talking, Dr. Hancock was talking about they're going to I don't want to say what they dissect because it'll make your hearts hurt, but they dissect things, and to do the imaging prior to that, make some interpretations of the images, and then actually do the dissection to confirm or kind of clarify.
So the goal really is to kind of expand kids' understanding of medical career pathways. You know, I think kids sometimes tend to think doctors, nurses, but there's obviously, you know, there's a huge field of medical careers. And so just trying to create those career pathways and those experiences for kids. So as you know, CTE is all about industry standard and making sure the kids are getting those real world job skills and real world experiences in our classroom. So that is where we're at with that. I think there was some budget questions that you guys had. So
I also would like to, well, one.
or other questions?
Yes, so we get special CTE funding.
Yes.
So that is set aside specifically for this purpose. But I wanted to also highlight that this was really an important factor for me, that this is dual credit class.
Oh, yeah.
It's CTE as well as a regular high school credit and has the opportunity to be a college and a high school credit. It's, I think it's
Through
Central Washington University. So this is, by using this, they can use this as a college credit in the future. And I think that that's really important and impactful.
Yeah.
That helps me with, you know, understanding the reason that we would be spending this kind of money on tools. My question that you might be able to answer is how many students are impacted by this? How many kids are going to be able to use this device?
So this year we had just under 50 kids in the two courses, and next year we were looking at the numbers today. They're bigger. Both of them are bigger. They're both pushing 30. So I mean, we're pushing over that 50 mark and getting into 60, and it just continues to grow. It was really hard. You know, I felt like we kind of got some momentum going in that program, and then when you go online, it kind of takes the fun out of some of these lab hands-on classes. They're not that fun online. So kind of coming back to it. Again, I know that when we were touring, when I had students, and some of you, I think Ron, you might have been there, but had students touring around the superintendent candidates a year ago. The classes they wanted to talk about were those biomedical and human body systems classes. So. And CTE budget, it's generated by the number of students in the program, right? And and those funds are designated for.
They can't be spent for anything else.
Right,
Yeah,
and
and
it's exactly what the purpose
to
of those
buy-
funds.
To buy
is
the
for this.
tools, et cetera, that are industry standard.
So that would kind of lead me into my next question is, are we bound by certain brands, certain manufacturers? Are we
No.
bound? Okay. So I actually use an ultrasound daily at work.
Mhm.
And I'm fascinated by the program and the idea. I just upgraded from an old machine that I've used that was $25,000 to the one that I now carry that I have at home that I take with me that costs $2,300 and is substantially better images.
Okay.
So looking at the numbers and seeing that we could potentially get 3 devices for close and have more hands-on for teachers, I would suggest that we table this and look a little more at potentially going.
Totally on board with that.
Yeah.
I think that just based on kind of what Dr. Hancock, the research that she did, that was what, but I mean, if you could.
So could we make a motion to approve this amount to be, or
not to
add
exceed
it
it or
out,
something,
add it out, because what's gonna happen is we don't have another board meeting scheduled.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
these are timely funds. that need to be-
Okay.
So I'm looking at Krista,
Mhm.
what does the motion need to look like? If we want to encourage, if you could get 3 devices and more kids could be involved, to me, that was phenomenal.
So with CTE funds, there's definitely a timeline that we have to use these by, and there's a huge misconception that carryover, we get all of our carryover. We do not get all of our carryover. We actually lose money. So we're better to spend it this year if we can. So I would say what do we have? It's at
7,500.
7,500. I mean, I don't know the market. So
The device that I use currently that I will vouch for, that we should get a quote from, is at $23.99. The unit discounts over 2. So if we approved at 7,500, we would probably be getting commercial just for anybody who wants to buy it on the internet. But looking into it and its capabilities compared to these, I think we approved it at 7,500 limit.
That would
We
give
could
us,
potentially do better for our students, having a 1 to 10 instead of a 1 to 30
Yeah.
ratio
Yeah.
for devices.
Yeah.
And as long as we cover tax and shipping, because I know that, I mean, I know that's a big conception, a misconception about districts that we don't pay tax, sales tax, but we do actually have to pay sales tax. So sales tax on an amount like that could end up being a little bit, but I don't know. Just another thing to consider.
So could we, including sales tax and shipping, could we say something to the effect of, well, we need to do more than that.
I don't know if that includes, I haven't looked at that enough.
Okay,
That's way less than I paid for it still.
But if you want to put a limit to the number of devices, like.
I was gonna say, if we can say
Up to 3 devices.
up to 3 devices, not to exceed $8,000.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I move that we approve up to 3 devices, not to exceed $8,000 for this program. And and that Dr. Hancock, Director Marshall.
Motion seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, consider approval of the greenhouse purchase for school district farm. Do I hear a motion to approve? Oh,
Right.
go ahead.
Oh,
Let's get your
okay.
information
All right.
first. I'm sorry, I apologize.
I was asked to also do a quick review of what the GRIDS program is, which I think I should probably do every year, just as we get
It's
new
part of
board
our
members and
strategic
things.
plan.
Right. Yeah, okay, right.
So you have permission.
So, and I think it actually is some good news from what we've been talking about today, because I'm Todd Morrish. I've taught science here for 25 years, and the last 5 years I've been the leader of the GRIDS farm, which was established 5 years ago by the school board and administration at the time. And our mission, I need to do my official thanks to the Grub program in Olympia. We are a pollination of that program, and they help us with a bunch of our grants and a bunch of our, just my mentors really over there. And the program is called GRIDS, which is an acronym. It stands for Growing Relationships in the Soil. And that's what we do. We grow relationships and we build this healthy community of kids that meet in block times during the day through meaningful work. And that meaningful work a lot of the times has to do with gardening and some farming. We do some construction in the winter time, and just do all kinds of cool work. We learn about survival skills and homesteading skills as part of our natural resources curriculum, our science curriculum, the science of fire. So we're always making these little campfires and stuff like that. So it's a really cool program. But the emphasis is in building that healthy community where we have a diverse group of kids out there over here. And it's been a beautiful thing. So here's some examples of some things that have really worked in that area, because we'll every year, and every group has a few members of the LGBTQ community. We have some people that are non-white. And what happens is that we have people that challenges sometimes. And so we have the ability out there to have those conversations. And we talk about, half of the battle is if there's a population of people that you don't understand or creates confusion or something for you, meeting them and actually being around them and working with them, that creates that communication, that creates that level of understanding. What we talk about, in fact, I brought a whole bunch of testimonies. I don't know why I brought them all, but in fact, so I'll highlight a couple of the ones that we talked about before that actually apply to what we were talking about just earlier today. And that is that, for example, we've had a number of students who either begin or recently start identifying as a gender that looks very different than how they appear. And we talk about how do you handle that, because you got some kids they struggle with that idea. And so we talk about, and it's actually part of my personal journey through understanding it as well, is that initially there's going to be some confusion. This is a friend of yours, you've known them for this time, they've been going through this forever, but you're just now hearing it. And your first initial thing is, when we identify how we communicate with people, we identify really what our feelings are. And when we dissect them, the first feelings are feelings of confusion. Where you're like, what's going on? And that's okay to be confused. And that's what we talk about, that we give them permission. It's okay to be confused when something like this happens. And that confusion can lead to discomfort. And so we talk about how it's okay to be uncomfortable. And then that's where we talk about, okay, now here, what do we do with that? What do we do with that discomfort? And that's where we really look at, that's where kids really start to grow in the area of like, well, I mean, some of them initially, we just lead them to be angry at people who are making them uncomfortable. And we talk about how someone's making you uncomfortable, just an uncomfortable situation for you. But then most of them, working with these different people, they start to realize, okay, this is not that big. I can get used to this. I can work around it. And then some of them can work to understand it. In fact, I have one of the testimonies I have in here, even though it doesn't specifically talk about this. I think it's one of my proudest moments is I had a kid. It was the beginning of this year. It feels like a long time ago. Beginning of this year, we had a student that it came out as a gender opposite of how she appeared originally. Was originally identified as male for years and now female. New name and everything. And then we had this one kid that it was a struggle. He's a nice kid, but he was really struggling with it. And not that this association goes with it. I don't want to do this, but in fact, I'll leave that part out. He exudes that misunderstanding. But he made a goal, and I was so proud of him. That my goal is to understand, and they named this other student. I'll leave that out. But that was his goal for the year, is to understand that. And it was such a big moment. And I've had a number of moments out there like that. So we have a program approved by the school board, supported by the school board, where it does work to create that safe space and that ability to learn and understand different perspectives. The main thing of the group, and then I'll get back to my training also. I can talk all night, my students. But one of the main things in the program, they earn a science credit, natural resources. They earn farm management CTE credit, and they earn a PE credit. So working hard, we're going to get some more PE skills next year, football and stuff, so they can learn. But we work on really a lot of it is what they call in the CTE world soft skills, how to manage conflicts, how to present your ideas in a way people are willing to hear them, which I heard a bunch tonight. I can use this as an example tomorrow when I talk to the kids about presenting yourself in a way where people are willing to hear you. If you're just yelling at them or calling them names, it's obviously not going to influence them real well. So that's a lot of soft skills. And then what comes to the greenhouse, so I'm trying to shorten my when it comes to the greenhouse, I believe there's several reasons I want to buy the greenhouse. One is that the funds are typically there almost every year. At the end of the year, there's like this amount that can afford this greenhouse. And in the past, when I've been aware of that amount, it was too late to order because they have to be here by August 31st. So the funds are typically there. I'm usually pretty low maintenance, but I have a concrete pad that's sitting out there already. I sized it to that pad, and I want the greenhouse because I want to do some research. I was just talking to Krista about even a certification potential. So in our area, when it comes to farming, we're not going to ship kids to like big ranches or big farmers necessarily in this area, but there's on the higher likelihood that they could actually transfer skills in nurseries and greenhouses. And so I think if we got a professional grade greenhouse, that we could actually work those kids into actually either earning an official certification, or at the very least, I wanted to travel to the different nurseries and find out specific skills they're looking for those kids to master there through the winter months, which is, where we can still do some growing. It would lead to a much more robust May Day plant sale for us because we can start things early enough. And it would just be, I think there's just so many advantages to that the program has a lot, but I think this one can be more of a concrete transferable skills situation. The program has, I had a list of questions. The program serves daily a group of middle schoolers in the morning for first and second, a group of high schoolers in the afternoon for fourth, fifth, and sixth. We usually start off with around 30 middle schoolers at the beginning of every year, and then we start off around 25 high schoolers. Those numbers will fluctuate through the years, people move away and whatnot. But more importantly, not only do we impact those kids, every year we do this last few years through COVID, we've done the mobile preschool pumpkin patch where you'll skit. And so we go to all of the preschool classes and kindergarten classes in the district. So hundreds of kids there. In previous years, we actually involved first graders in a pay it forward program where they would start pumpkin seeds in their classrooms, and a lot of the schools now have their own greenhouses, and then they would come out and plant those for the next generation of kindergarten. Remember how cool it was? You got your pumpkins. Now you're setting that up for the next group. And I think there was a question about the future of the program. Some of the future of the programs, we actually would like to have a grade level through all elementary grades, some sort of project or activity that would involve the farm and probably the greenhouse as well. So that's some future goals for the program. Outcomes of the GRITS program, that's where I had all the testimonies. That's where a lot of it comes from. There's a ton of these kids when we talk about kids that are suicidal, when we talk about kids that don't fit in, we talk about kids that feel that they're on the outskirts of things. Those are a lot of times the kids that are attracted to this program because we are creating that. We really hone in and create that situation where they're not having to deal with a lot of the stresses that they might have to deal with in this classroom. So it gets them out of the building a little bit, away from a lot of that stuff, and into an area where we really work hard to create that all-encompassing feeling. It's designed to catch those kids that are falling through the cracks, especially those suffering from anxiety, depression, and are not likely to finish school. And we've had some success in retaining some of those kids that would probably stick it out. Yes.
I'd love to hear a couple of the
Okay. All right, let's do this one. This one for kid this year. GRITS has helped me a lot in my life. This is my first year, and before GRITS, I had a lot of issues. I was really depressed. I had really bad anger issues. I had no friends. Then I joined GRITS, and yeah, sometimes listening to Mr. Morris can be boring. But listening to what he talks about communication and personality stuff, it motivated me to work on myself to become a better person. Now I'm happier than ever before in my life. I worked a lot on my anger, and now it's been 4 months since I've lashed out at anger. My personality and character changed a ton for the good, and now I have so many friends that I can't even keep up with all. People actually like me and think of me as a really good, genuine person. If it wasn't for GRITS, I honestly don't know where I'd be. So that's GRITS has helped me a lot with changing my ways and sitting still. I was not in the best crowd, and the program got me away from this. Knowing this kid, we'll put that nicely. He was in a very dangerous path at that time. Program got me away from those people and helped me learn better respect for others. I was getting in trouble almost every day, but because of the respect and ways to keep my energy low and sit still, I didn't get into trouble at all last year or this year. Also, teachers always believed in me and support me, and says much nice things about me, you know. So I think he's kissing. I mean, and they're, so anyway, I'll go with those two. But yeah, there's just a lot of transformation because that's what we focus on. Yes, there's employability. We talk about perseverance. We talk about how to get through a job that starts to get boring. That's one of the things we really have to tackle out there. Every time I said, okay, but you get excited about something at the beginning, and then halfway through, man, you want to get that reward of finishing. So we talk about that a lot. And so a lot of very general personality, personal growth ideas. All of our standards that they come up with are respect and kindness. They fit in those two areas. Again, I could go further, but yeah, so that's one of the major impacts of the programs. These kids learn how to do what a lot of you were able to do today, and that's present themselves in a way where people can who are willing to hear them. And so, and they don't start off that way. So it's a lot of work, and we do a lot of that stuff. And a lot of the kids have talked to me about the fact that it keeps them engaged. They come to school every day because of this. And it keeps them in school longer into their career so that it's easier. A lot of the kids will transfer from the GRIDS program going directly to the Skills Center. And it helps them keep their grades up that way, because I have the time to work with them on their grades in my classes. And sometimes there are others. And so that's 3 classes that we know we can get them to pass, whereas in them, it narrows, it shrinks down their pressure a little bit. So I can go on that. So I guess we're talking about the greenhouse. Any questions about the greenhouse? Okay.
I have questions. And that's
Okay, yeah.
for kids, but you said something about there was money and we lose it if we don't use it. Where does it come from?
CTE. It's the CTE budget, and it's based on the numbers of students that I have.
Okay, CTE.
So
Okay.
the state funds us per student.
Right, I know
If it's a
that.
CTE student, we get 1.25%. So it's that.
Yeah, I knew that. I just
Okay.
didn't know when you
Yeah.
said it went away, and I know Chris had already.
And in my defense, I rarely ask for grades. Okay.
You just need to be aware of what's there.
Oh, we get the Perkins grant too?
Also,
Oh, I didn't know that.
another question I had, and this was something that I was talking to somebody about, and they said that the concrete pad where it will be put on is in the danger zone of the bond.
Yes. So what's going to happen this summer is the barn's going to take it down.
Really?
It's a danger, and it would cost the cost of restoring that barn. This is. I was assuming I could say that. Okay. John Fisher. So John Fisher's. No. But it would be an amazing space to use, but the amounts of money that I've heard to restore it were too much. So we're really looking for someone to help us disassemble or take it down, save the wood, replace it with maybe some sort of pole barn or something, and then use a lot of the existing wood to create a similar feel of the barn. That's the eventual. That part hasn't been all approved yet, but that's kind of the idea. And right now the barn it's propped up, and they had some people go in there, and we don't go in the barn. But it is a hazard, and if we weren't allowed to put a greenhouse anywhere in the fall zone of the barn, there would be no place to put it. So yes, that was the idea of safety lights there.
First I heard about something.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I did not hear that. Are any other questions?
Yes, I do, Paulette.
Okay.
That is a huge surprise. I think deciding to take down the barn is a decision that we need to talk with our community about. There are tremendous feelings about that barn in this community.
Okay.
And yeah.
I think it also might be on the historical registry. It has special. Yeah.
I am going to apologize.
Yeah.
I was
No,
under the
that's fine.
assumption this was a thing that was already talked about.
You know what? It's so much better to hear about it now than after it's taken down. So
Yeah.
I think-
Okay. So, all right.
Instead of just talking about it, we'd be looking for you.
I wasn't taking anything. Okay. All right. But either way is fine with me. If we keep it up in its current condition, that does restrict a lot of our movement out there. But if somebody wants to fix it up for me, that'd be awesome. I would love that too.
I was going to say this for my board comments, but I think now is an appropriate time to say this, that we need community support around barn restoration grants or any kind of grants or any kind of support. And we have a really fantastic group here. And I think you just so well put how this program really benefits our students. And I know that there are programs in other states who have taken these farms and turned them into really functional educational opportunities. And so I'm pleading to you, use your resources, reach out, help us find a way to really keep this as a place where students can honor the history of our community and also continue this fantastic program. And I do also believe that the skills that they can learn in the greenhouse are very valuable and important. And so I will support that as long as we can also support moving forward on
one a historically appropriate,
Sure.
because it is on the historical registry. I'm pretty
Okay.
certain, because I worked through the process of getting that one.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so we've got to be really gentle about the process, and it's, probably wouldn't come down in the summer. It would take a lot of,
Let's rewind.
yeah, no, yeah. This isn't reflective of you.
Okay, we'll put it somewhere. Okay.
We'll
Um,
figure it out, but we also know it's timely.
Yeah.
It's important, like you said, that it needs to be done and delivered by August 31st. So,
Right.
um,
And the idea was delivered, and then we could set it up later if we needed more time for that.
So we're
So
working on
there's
it,
that
right.
idea. But yeah, I even had a couple of guys come up to look at what a less expensive restoration was, and then got into engineering and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would 100% support a remodel of it, but I'm gonna stop talking about it. All right.
Yeah, no, and Todd, you're absolutely right. I mean, this is just an if. If we restore it, if we replace it, it's time to have that conversation in the community.
Yes.
And it may not be savable, but either way, it's going to cost an awful lot of money to either resurrect that or build a new one. So, and I see the next. I'm probably going to have to go here in a couple minutes, so I fully support rebuilding a team to come up with the future of the barn there, and I can't support spending that kind of money on a greenhouse until we have a plan. Unless we know we're going to have some place to put it, because we can't put it on that pad while the barn is standing. So I think we're at the place to make a plan and go from there. So that's my 2 cents, and I have to go.
Okay.
Sorry. Thanks, folks.
Thank you, Jeff.
And I get that, so I understand.
and you're saying there's no location we could pour a
Um,
slab.
I guess they're probably good. I mean, yeah,
There probably could be.
out of the fall zone, I guess it'd have to be back. I'd have to level some of that. Yeah, there is. We could.
I mean, if you can assure us that there's a space.
There is a space,
Where we
yes.
could do a pad.
Yes.
Yeah, because the cost of
That
building
the
a
pad was
is
not in our
something,
expense.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would add expense, and that's why. Yeah, we can make sure there's a spot.
Okay, so we might
What was the square footage?
12 by 6.
Yeah.
12 by 4, is that what I remember?
1436.
Yeah.
So
So what are we looking at?
20-something.
Huh?
20-something.
How much?
Calculate. So
I know.
industry standard is $20 square foot for concrete. And right now, it's an additional $10,000 per pad.
Funding.
So part of the greenhouse, would be paid for with the Perkins grant.
Okay.
It's $8,000. It was a grant that was done, a while back, and, it's hard to, redo those Perkins grants. Not that that should be a factor in the decision.
What's our
but
timeline?
That has to be spent by the end of, it has to be received by the end of August.
Would your kids be interested in learning how to do flat work?
I have to look, yeah, I don't know.
I would imagine we have community members. It's a greenhouse,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
It's not
sure.
like if it's wavy.
Yeah.
I'm
The one's
just
there is
thinking, they could throw out concrete. And learn to do some flat work maybe with.
We've done some
community
concrete
members.
work out there.
Yeah.
Some stairs.
Right, so I'm
Yeah.
sure
Sure, there's community would help.
Sure, absolutely. No more than all of that.
I'll get that together.
that doesn't have to be spent immediately, that portion, like the
Does the
pad.
building need to be assembled before August, or?
No, we just need to receive it, because yeah.
Okay, and same thing with the greenhouse, it doesn't have to be assembled that. No. By 30%. The funds have to be spent.
So we have to, whatever it has to be spent and received by, it has to be received by the end of August. Goods in hand.
Concrete.
So
Thanks. Love that.
That's fine. Okay, so we have not had a motion on this yet, so we consider a motion to approve the greenhouse purchase, along with a concrete slab to sit it on. And
Good donuts with concrete slab. What,
do we have a dollar amount?
how long, what's the lead time on getting this building pursued? Do you know?
That was the trick, is that we were pushing our luck.
It was,
first.
what, about a month and a
Yeah.
half ago, they were saying it was 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Now we're in season, so it could be,
That's where.
I
we
mean,
ran
it could be
into some
6 to 8 weeks by now, is what I'm thinking. But maybe not, maybe we get lucky and it's shorter.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons this company was a better deal, because other companies.
Hold off on the concrete.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
That's a good way.
So we'll make it concrete.
You want to make that?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we approve the greenhouse, we get the building at least on its way. And then I'm gonna lump in the next item as well.
Yes, why don't we put those two together?
Yeah, so I'm gonna also include in that motion to set up a vision team to discuss the future of the barn. And so we can try to figure out kind of what we're gonna do and try to work these pieces together while we have at least a greenhouse inbound, so we can use the money that we have available while it's available.
And then be able to do the social plan
So,
in time.
so my motion is both, we approve the greenhouse, we get it ordered, but we also set up a committee to figure out the future.
Yep. Let's have a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and items E and up. And any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, that is it with regular business. On with superintendent comments. Mr. Neal.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I apologize for not being there in person right now, but I'd like to thank Tyler and his team for getting us hooked up videoly and audibly so that we can go ahead and do this. I'd like to start off with kind of the state of the district report and give you an update on what's going on around at our buildings. And I'm going to start off with Columbia Crest Academy. They're concluding the state testing this week, which is a Smarter Balance Assessment, sometimes called the SBA. And they would like to thank all the donations that came from various parents who helped provide healthy snacks to keep the students fueled during the testing. The student council elections were held, and there were many students interested in running for office. There's a strong group of student leaders for next year who are eager to make a difference. And they're proud to announce the school president is a current 6th grader, Addison Johnson. You can go to the website to read her statement that she has. Also, the 5th and 8th grade students leave overnight for an overnight camp on Tuesday, and they're very excited to spend 4 days learning outdoor education from high school students in the Highline School District at Camp Waskowitz, I believe is how that's announced. But anyway, they'll be heading out on Tuesday, and they look forward to that opportunity. Weyerhaeuser Elementary's got a few things going on. They have gone through the SBA, or the Smarter Balanced Assessments, and they will be testing through June 2nd, and that's grades 3, 4, and 5 that are working on that currently. They also have plans for their field day on June 15th, and along with this event, they need lots of volunteers. So if you still need to, if you're interested as a volunteer, get the paperwork in, and we'll get that approved and moving that forward. And also, over 25 incoming kindergarten families attended the kindergarten roundup on May 11th. So thanks to all the families that showed up for that occasion. Okay, next from Eatonville Elementary, we kind of have some dates here that I'm going to go over, and I'm going to go through them fairly quickly, but you can always go onto the website and make sure that you, if I missed these dates or you didn't have a chance to write these down. But on May 24th, which is yesterday, they started their structured learning community, and they had a community access at the fire station. Today, excuse me, again, on the 24th, yesterday, the preschool got a chance to go to the zoo. Tomorrow, we have the second grade music program, and that will be at the high school at 7 p.m. So make sure you go to the right location if you plan on attending that. May 27th, again, the preschool will be going to the zoo. The June 3rd structural learning community will be at the Point Defiance Zoo. And they're happy to announce that on June 10th, they will have their kinder graduations, and donuts and diplomas will be held in the cafeteria. June 15th is their field day, and June 17th is the 5th grade promotion, and that goes from 10:15 to 11:15, and early dismissal is at 11:30. Eatonville Middle School track and volleyball seasons are coming to a close next week. They're hosting their league track and field at the East Villey High School track on May 31st at 3:30. Anyone interested in volunteering, just check in with the middle school. They also have some upcoming events that they want to point out. June 2nd will be the 6th grade teachers visit Eatonville Elementary and Weyerhaeuser 5th grades to give them an orientation on what to expect. On June 3rd, they will have their ASB dance from 2:30 to 4:30, and this is their first dance they've had since January 2020. So everybody's very excited to have this up and running again. June 7th will be the Future Warrior Night at 6:30 p.m. in the gym for all the incoming warriors and parents and guardians. June 8th is the roll-up day, again with Eatonville Elementary and Weyerhaeuser to the 5th graders to the middle school, and then as well as the 8th grade students from the middle school going to the high school. June 8th will be the band concert at 7 p.m., and that's open to everyone. June 15th, the 8th grade field trip and the 6th and 7th grade awards and field day. Let Mrs. Rush know if you're interested in volunteering. They could always use some additional help. And June 16th, the 8th grade celebration at 10:30 a.m. in the big gym. There will be awards and certificates. Also, if you didn't get all those dates marked down, just please go to their website and you can see what they have going on there as they have that posted. Eatonville High School, there were 175 students who attended prom on May 14th. They had a great time. Student behavior was excellent. They have finished up their advanced placement exams this last week and have started their Smarter Balance testing for English language arts and math, and then they will start their science testing the following week. They have over 50 scholar athletes for spring sports, and a scholar athlete must be a varsity student athlete who has a cumulative GPA of 3.5 or higher. So great job by all of those folks. There are 8 students competing in 12 events at the State Track and Field Championship in Cheney this week. That's Thursday through Saturday, the 26th through the 28th. The Eatonville High School fast pitch team won the district championship on Saturday. They play Friday in the state tournament as the #1 seed. Congratulations to them. East Valley High School girls, Erin Mitchell and Cassidy Foster's the doubles team play in the state tennis tournament in Yakima this week. And the spring band concert will be Thursday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. A reminder about some of the activities for the seniors coming up. June 6th is the senior parade and elementary school grad walk. On Tuesday is the 7th grade graduation practice. Senior awards is that night at 7 p.m. Wednesday, June 8th is the last day for the seniors. Move Up Assembly, including the 8th graders from EMS and Columbia Crest, is at 10 o'clock with an all-school lunch to follow. And then a culmination to everything that these students have done since they've been in the school district is Saturday, June 11th is the graduation at 5 p.m. at St. Martin's. So hopefully as many people can attend that as possible. I kind of like to conclude with kind of the national tragedy that occurred yesterday. And I woke up this morning with a heavy heart and extremely concerned about our children and our staff. You know, it's been a very stressful and emotional year. There's been a lot of things going on, and I am really proud of the hard work the students and the staff have put in this year to make this work. There's been a lot of sacrifices that they've made. They've gone beyond the call of duty, both students and staff, and I'm extremely proud of all the work that they do. And parents, I know you talk to your children, but continue to talk with them. Talk with them. Ask them not only what's going on that's good in their daily lives, but ask them things that they might be struggling with or problems that they have. And if you need additional help or if you need additional information, please contact your child's teachers and have conversations with them, because they would love to chat with you and talk with you and to work with you as a team as you go, and you don't have to do this work alone. So please do that. And finally, again, to all our staff members, I just really thank you for all the courage and adversity that you've shown this year. You continue to show up each and every day. You put your best foot forward in a time that's been extremely difficult. And I really want you to take care of yourselves and take time to connect with each other. And if you need support, please do not hesitate to reach out and to talk with somebody, whether it's your building or someone from the district office. But I'm very proud and honored to say that I work side by side with these folks, and I have great admiration and gratitude for the work that they do each and every day, and I'm very proud of them for that. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Okay, and on to board comments. Ashley?
Other than, I think, just being tremendously proud of our students, our student athletes, our students in general, our coaches, parents, thank you all for being here. It's so wonderful to see and to hear from each of you. Really appreciate the work you do, and particularly the students who come and share their insights with us. We really value that. Thank you, Mr. Rush, for cooking. Sorry. Since you have been my kids,
I know.
You and Mr. Rush at the same time taught my kids, so sorry. Thank you, Mr. Morris, for the great work that you have done at the farm. It really is a tremendous opportunity and a blessing to those students, to our community. And you have really done that all that work yourself. And I want to recognize that.
I did forget to thank
my assistant, Matt.
Yeah.
Maddie,
Right.
I've had Maddie for 2 years.
She's back there with the baby.
The longest assistant I've had. She knows exactly how my brain works and is able to fill in the gaps and has done an amazing job for 2 years. And I'd be remiss if I didn't share my frustration with the fact that she's been removed from their program, not by her choice or mine, but because of some sort of frustrating process that they have. And it's just really sad for me and for her. And so I don't know if there's anything to be done about it, but I'll just leave that hanging. Okay, but she's been amazing, and so she I can't give her enough praise. So that's what makes she.
I look forward to having additional meetings, and I'm looking at Amanda to make sure that we get that now that we have board motion on that. Did we have a board motion?
We do it real quick.
It's consensus.
It's consensus. Okay, so getting that scheduled. And I appreciate the board for refocusing and reaffirming our strategic plan. And that will be an important part of the schedule that we're working on. And so we can make sure that good work goes forward even when the kids aren't in the building. So thank you all.
Okay, and I have just, and I appreciate each and every one of you being here tonight, and for those of you who spoke from the depths of your heart, and we heard and we're listening and we're working on some things and go through the things that we as board members can do and to support your students and your families. Thank you for that. Along with that, there's a program that I fully support. It's called Character Strong, and it goes all the way from kindergarten through adults, actually. And when we were at the small school conference, we got to participate in it, and it was amazing as adults to participate in. And I listened to a webinar today on the kindergarten through fifth grade, and there's one tomorrow on the older kids that I'm going to listen to. But the three main points of Character Strong are be kind, be strong, be well. And the things that they do don't take up a lot of time, and they don't take a lot of learning. They have a lot of tools. They have a lot of resources, and they have, it's very simple. The simplicity of it really struck me. But it's the things we were talking about. You know, it's like helping kids to maneuver through some of the things by these unique ways. And one of the things they played today that was so cute, and I ran to write down the title of it, but they have these little songs that kind of reiterate, you know, how to be kind. You know, teach them to these were first grade, you know, that they were working with. But it's just that, you know, empathy, cooperation, respect, gratitude, honesty, responsibility. Yeah, these are the things that are in this program, and I'm totally sold on it. I really am, and hoping we can have it going next fall for our students. It's another piece that I think will help in all the things that we've been talking about. Just helping kids to be comfortable being themselves and be comfortable being around others. And that's my soapbox. And so I want to thank all of you for coming, and thank the board and Amanda and Gary. Thank you. And at this point, if there's no other business, we will adjourn the meeting.
Do you want to say something?
No, you got that.
Hammer?
Hammer?
I'll keep every time.
You want me to use the hammer?